I was exposed to drug addiction from an early age. I knew where it would get me. I knew that it wasn't something that I needed to be involved in. I wasn't able to vocalize my feelings. It just came out as in anger. My father didn't care. He was proud of me. The thing about weed and alcohol is it made me feel different. It took me outside of myself and it removed some of those feelings of inadequacy. I didn't like the way that it made me feel. When I went off to college on an academic scholarship, I started dabbling with some harder substances, Xanax, cocaine, LSD, pills. It got me outside of myself, it got me high, but I didn't like where it took me. Oxycontin led into heroin fairly quickly, but when I discovered opiates, I discovered my answer. It just removed all of those feelings of inadequacy and it gave me everything that I wanted out of life. I knew as a kid I didn't want to get into drugs, but now looking back at it, I always had the disease. The behavior that was there, the compulsion was there. You know, and the thing about that is I put my compulsion into paintball, and that was my escape. I forgot about all of the things that I felt. And in paintball, I found a group of guys that were a surrogate family to me. No matter how talented I was, teams just wouldn't put up with my antics. So I was just cut, and then I couldn't afford to play on my own because all of my money was now going to fuel my drug habit. I was really good at putting up a front, keeping a nice paint job on the house, but the inside was just crumbling to dust. Being an addict, I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know that I was a drug addict. I tried all these external things to fix an internal problem. I went back to Clearwater for detox. The worst part about that was they told me I had to call my father and tell him I was addicted to heroin and I was shooting heroin and that I needed his help going to detox. Letting him down was the tougher part. I've spent probably the total of 30 days in total in all 4 places. I got high in 3 out of 4 of them. They said, if you're a drug addict, your solution is the 12 steps. And I thought about it and I was overjoyed. Because finally someone had identified my problem, told me what my problem was, and had told me what the solution was. And I was ecstatic at the first time in my life. They were gonna kick me out and they were gonna drop me off at a homeless shelter. And again, this wasn't the issue. The issue was that I was gonna have to call my father and tell him I had messed up again. He told me, you love those goddamn streets so much, go and fucking die in them. He made the decision that he was no longer going to enable my life. I'd burnt every bridge that I had, and I was left homeless in a county that I'd never been to. And the van driver, he let me off and he said, just do the next right thing. And I looked at him, I said, I have no idea what that is. And he said, do you know what the next wrong thing is? That was as simple as I could understand it at that point in my life. And so I walked into the shelter, and I just started talking to people and I started asking for help. I met my home group, I met my sponsor, and I put together 11 months. I hadn't maintained my relationship with God. I don't even think I had built one. I doubted whether I was an alcoholic or not. Sat down with lunch with my sponsor and I said, you know, of course I'm a drug addict. You know, at the time I thought there was a difference. I know there isn't. But I said to him, you know, of course I'm a drug addict. Heroin is an addictive drug. I don't think I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to try drinking in a few weeks. And he said, nope. Why wait? We'll start now. He took me from lunch and he stopped and he bought me a beer and he dropped me off at my apartment that I was living at. And you know, 2 things happened. I realized I wasn't sober anymore, so none of it really mattered. And I realized I'm not really a fan of beer and alcohol. I really like heroin. I was high on heroin 10 minutes after my first beer. I went back to the same sponsor and I went back to the same steps. And I just did it now the same way, knowing that I needed God in my life and that alcohol was a drug. My new sobriety date is May 22nd, 2010. I've put my life back together and I have, you know, the physical gifts, the car, the girlfriend, the apartment. The 2 things that recovery has given me, the first one is self-respect, the respect of others. The other one has to do with my father. You know, me being clean in my life, he no longer has to worry about me. The best moment in his life was when I asked him to give me my 3-year medallion at my home group. It's the best moment in his life. And like, that is the best thing that recovery has given me. Getting into recovery is is the only bet that pays off in life for a drug addict. I talk to a lot of people that are in active addiction and have all these reasons why they can't go to detox. They can't go to treatment for 30 days. I can't lose my job. You know, my girlfriend will break up with me. I have bills to pay. Everything is easier. Everything that you ever wanted will materialize in your life if you continue to do this. You just have to make the bet on yourself and make the commitment. And it's scary, I understand. And no one knows what the future can hold, but I can give you the guarantee that, you know, if you make the bet on yourself, you know, your life will be much better than it is right now.